Kubereka kunorwadza. Ko kugara nemukadzi muri vaviri pamukadzi mumwe chete akurwadze. Akurwadze. Now, I talk like this because I just want you to know the law of God.
Yes.
The values of God. I don't really care how you feel. I want to be honest with you. I'm not a therapist. I'm a preacher. I proclaim the mind of God. How you feel right now is not my business. My business is to make known unto you the ways of the righteous God.
Yes.
Desist from marrying a woman who has got children with another man. And she wants to come to your house with those children. Desist. The moment a woman says, I want to be married again, it means she wants to start afresh. But is she starting afresh?
She's continuing.
If you are a man and you want to marry a woman who has children, can you say, I'm starting a new family? The truth is you are not starting a new family. You are continuing with another man's family. Yes. That's the right language.
Yes.
No, hamusutanga muri mukoma. Muda kupfuurira mberi nemhuri yekwamazvimba kupa yamuruda kutanga kugara nayo. Akutangwe family nemutoo wakadaro. Send these children to their father. Cut off communication completely with these children. Don't ask them to come and see you every weekend. You are creating confusion in these children's minds and in your husband's mind. Once you start to communicate and do this backs and forth with the father of your children, you are hurting the ego of this man. He feels less of a man each and every day. You talk about the father of your children. If they are not telling you what I'm telling you, they are actually being too soft with you. They hate. Hakuna murume anoda kuona murume akambovata nemukadzi wake padhuze naye. Hakuna murume anoda kuzviona izvozvo. Haina ndabasa nazvo ini anongoya zvakachiona vana vake. You are not a man. You are an idiot. Hakuna murume akadaro. A proper man wants to have a marriage where he is proud of himself. A proper man is a man who, when he's walking with his wife, he doesn't want another man to point at his wife and say, I was with this woman 2 years ago. A proper man does not find dignity in that.
Yes.
How then can this man be coming after every few weeks to drop his children at your doorstep? Sometimes your wife will be bathing and he says, he knocks at the gate and you come out to see him. Oh, I came to drop my children, which you are taking care of. Varume vedu vavambodza kudzidza kwamuri kuita kuri kukuita imbodza pamberi paMwari izvezvi uri chireshe chemurume. Zvawakatoita izvi hataifanirwa kana kukuita asha chaiye muchechi, because hauna strength. You are a weak man. A strong man will not take that or tolerate that. I want to give you 2 examples of where this thing happened. When Abigail became David's wife, she did not bring Nabal's children to David's house.
Yes.
Never. And she would not go back to Nabal's family to spend time with Nabal's children. She made a choice. Once you decide to marry again, you are turning your back on your own children. Yes. Another person shall raise these children. You have chosen marriage over your children. That's a choice you have made. If you find a man who wants to give you both, you have not found a man. You have found a toy masquerading as a man. But as it now, my concern is this marriage of yours is filthy in the eyes of God. Whenever your wife sees his former husband, I want to tell you here, if you never thought about this, she thinks about their good time together. Whenever they meet, they will think about themselves when they were together.
Yes.
And whether they do it or they don't do anything about their thoughts, their conscience is defiled before God.
Yes.
You are causing your wife to fornicate in her mind with her ex-husband every time they meet. Let alone, or worse still, if he is the man she lost her virginity to. There's no marriage there. Vanotosangana vaida kuenda kunorapisa mwana vakatombobvura nekuhotera because rudo rwava ruperi vane covenant yerudo. Iwe ndiwo usina covenant. Matthew chapter 5 verse 31 and 32. It has been said, whosoever shall put away his wife, let him give her a writing of divorcement.
But I say unto you,
What do you say?
that whosoever shall put away his wife,
Whoever divorces his wife,
saving for the cause of
except she
fornication,
cheats on him,
causes her to commit adultery.
you are causing your wife to commit adultery.
And whosoever shall marry her that is divorced commits adultery.
Pastor,
Am I-
are you surprised? So if you are a man, you have divorced your wife, but she didn't cheat on you, you are causing your wife to commit adultery. She shall need to spend a time with a man, and she shall start doing things that compromise her dignity. But you are the one who caused it. She is a human being. She will need someone to spend time with, someone to love her, someone to comfort her, someone to treat her as a woman. She can't abstain because she was once married. She wasn't a nun, remember? You married her. You introduced her to a marital life. Now you say, I don't want you anymore. You can't say, I am a believer when you are causing another human being to sin.
Yes.
Staying with your wife is playing a duty before God,
Yes.
making sure that you don't allow her to commit sin. That is why, similarly speaking or adversely, it is a sin for you to marry a divorced woman who was divorced because she cheated. Because by marrying her, you are spiting God, who said a woman should be faithful to her husband.
Yes.
And now, because you think you are wise or you are an unwise person, you marry something that God is saying it is filthy. You are fighting God's law. You are perpetuating sin. You are promoting sin. You are promoting abominations. It's a sin to God. Where is the true man who knows that he is supposed to be a proper man, who stands up and raises a proper family in the eyes of God? Men are letting the church of God down. They compromise too much. Muri kunzwisisa zvisina kunaka. Muri kuroora vakadzi vakasviba. Mobereka mhuri dzisina kuchena pamberi paMwari. The future of the church is in danger because our men are compromising too much. Let us establish godly families and raise godly children who are going to take further this faith when we are gone. If you are a boy, be able to open your eyes and look into your girlfriend. Are you a virgin? There's a question I want to ask. I don't know how you are going to take it. It may sound to be personal, but I just want to know. It doesn't mean it's a big deal, but you know, I just getting to know you. If I'm offending you, I want to apologize in advance. Get away. Look into her eyes and ask her, are you pure? Because if you are no longer pure, we are not going to date.
Yes.
Don't wait until you get into a relationship. No. When you're asking her out, tell her, I want to propose love to you if you are pure. If you are not, we don't have to get into a relationship because I'm not going to marry you. Where are you going to get a virgin? There are no virgins. This is what You are not the one with the shop of virgins in this world. I will find new fresh shops to look for the product I'm looking for. Makambomona mnanotengesa oti ndikutsvaga size 8 yebhutsu yeblack obva ati handina, but bhutsu dzeblack size 8 hadziwaniki. Dai matotora yebrown handina. Ima hamuna. Regai ndibude ndinotsvaga munenge meshop. Why are you discouraging people from obeying God and living holily in the eyes of God? What's your agenda in promoting promiscuity, in promoting filthiness, in promoting abominations in the house of God? Where shall we find an undefiled generation if the church is promoting defilement? When people come to church, they must see that they are now in the Holy Land. Things are different. Don't compromise. Don't compromise. Don't be deceived by beauty. Beauty is not enough if it is not accompanied by virtue. If it is alone without virtue, beauty is a trap.
Yes.
You are being trapped into filthiness. Beauty is not enough. Tell your neighbor, beauty is not enough.
Beauty is not enough.
It needs to be baked on character.
Yes.
Beauty is like icing on the cake. Without the actual cake, you can't buy icing and say, I'm buying a cake.
Yes.
It's not enough. Hakanaka singaite. Hakanaka pai. Character yake yakamira sei. So what they are going to tell you is they are going to come up with the conspiracy theories. I went out for a date. She put a sleeping pill in my drink. I don't know what happened. That's what they say. And that is why it's difficult for you to explain how you lost your virginity and convince a man that you only did it once. Which in 99.9% of their chances, it will be a lie. Every woman who lost her virginity, she will tell you she only did it once. And it will always be a lie. 99.9% of the times, it will always be a lie.
Yes.
Because she knows if she tells you how many men she has been with, you are going to be disillusioned, discouraged. Because andaya kutororera chiborani chese naye vedu. Wakaita kangana. And ukatanga kubvunza futi vanoti hasha. Zvine basa rezvamakubvunza. Ngozivai kuti chete handisisiri manda. Mukubvunzira sei zvinokubatsira ichi. Iwe ndiwe musungwa ndoda kutonga futi nyaya yacho. Indini chadecide kuti zvine basa neni ndezvipi. Ingopindura chete. And waudzwa zvese izvozvo unozomuda wa munhu uyu kusvikira papi pastor. Uchisangana nevanhu vaakatambiswa navo. Uchienda unotenga so. Pamwe unenge uchiita basa rekutakura simende nemusoro. Wakatakura simende usangana nemunhu akambomutambisa. Iwe uri kumutakurira simende uye anambomutakurira simende. A man is going to commit his life to you. His energy, his sweat, his blood, his dignity.
Yes.
People are going to say a lot of filth to him. They are going to insult him. They are going to denigrate him. They are going to mock him. And he is not going to have a problem with all that. He takes all that bad stuff because of one thing. Yes. I am working for my family. I want to go back home to my wife. I want to make her happy. If he finds you wasted, he is not going to be motivated. What am I working for? What if that man who took her virginity comes back to my house while I'm toiling like this? It's complicated. But the problem is our boys don't think that far, Pastor. They say it doesn't matter. Marriage is your heart. That's not true. You are a weakling. You need to wake up. Our men must wake up. We need boys who are strong.
Yes.
Yes. Your seed is important. Don't sow your seed into every field. Find a responsible woman and do things the right way.
Yes.
Set up a good example for your children. Your wife should tell her daughters, your father did things right. So that when your daughters grow, they have confidence. They are still responsible men in this world. One responsible man I know is my father. Be responsible. Go and marry the proper way. But make sure you are also trained on how to find if a woman is a virgin or not. So many shenanigans are now around in town.
Yes.
So many shenanigans, I don't want to talk about them. So many men are being deceived that their wives are virgins, but they are not. You have to learn. And we do have counsels where such things are taught. Don't be deceived. Kutukatsvaga mhandara unofa jaya, unofa uchingotenderera. It's a lie. Kungoti munogara kuSodom zvenyu saka musati mambosangana nemurume asiri ngochani. Kune dzimwe nzvimbo kusina ngochani mufunge.
Yes.
Ukagara kuSodom mutanga kutobhilivha kuti anyika yese ngochani dzega dzega. Izvo inongori area uri kugara chete. Wakakombwa nemajoki. Ndo anokutaurira kuti mhandara hadziwanikwe. Kunotori nedzimwe nzvimbo dzekuti murume ane vana vasikana 5 vese vanorohwa vari mhandara. Zvichiri kuitika izvozvo anywhere in the world.
Yes.
Zvichiri kuitika izvozvo. To those who were wasted, do not try to fight the word of God. Humble yourself before God, and God will heal you. You are wounded, you need help. Fighting the word of God is not going to make you better.
Yes.
Our own boys can marry you if they decide to do that. But you are going to need a lot of help. To our marriages, to our couples, you are now in a quandary. You don't know what to do. You don't want to find a virgin to have a firstborn. But what I've said here is bothering you. You got married, but your wife was not pure. You need help. You need help. If you have a child outside your marriage with someone who took away your strength and made you a man, that is your firstborn. Wherever that child is, go and bring that child home. Tell your wife what you did. You didn't cheat on this wife, especially if she is not a virgin. You didn't cheat on her. That's the truth.
Yes.
Pastor watiwo, hatisi kuti endei munotsvaga vamwe vakadzi muberekerwe mafestival. Asi hatisi kuda kuencourage kuzviita izvo. Chingogarai nemadzimai enyaya. Iwewewo musi wawakatora mukadzi wanga usingazvizive kuti haakwanisi kukupa festival. Watozviziva nhasi. Don't blame her on your ignorance. You married this woman because you loved her. You didn't know how to get a proper firstborn indeed. You only learned it now.
Yes.
So you can't say, I want to find a virgin because I want to look for a firstborn. If you knew this message, you could have found a virgin and married a firstborn. You can't fight with your wife about this now. God will help you to live in this marriage in the most godly manner possible. There are things you can't correct now. Live like that. But if a man feels that he wants to do things right, the doctrine of Christ cannot make this woman a sinner. Because if this man was holding on to something sinful, which God requires him to put it down, we were going to ask him to put it down. What if this man has got something that he hasn't gotten, which is right? Why should we say, don't get it? Saka kana yana yekuwana chinhu chiri right, sei muchida kuti chiti chakashata nekuda kwekuti nyika inozoti kuti nyika ine standard ipiko. The world has no right to criticize the way of God. God is righteous, the world is wicked. The world has no standard to measure us on because it lives in the most sinful ways ever possible. If a man decides that he didn't marry the right way, he doesn't have a firstborn in his marriage, neither did he become a man. If he is convinced in his heart that he can imagine a family where he's going to find a virgin and establish himself, in which case he's going to have 2 wives, that is a problem which he's going to deal with in his own capacity as an individual believer. He is not abandoning his wife, because this woman, the state she was found in, does not make this marriage a proper marriage in the eyes of God. In the eyes of God, this man is in a defiled marriage for as long as he lives. And he doesn't have a firstborn for as long as he lives. There's nothing you can talk about grace that is going to address this problem. If he decides to find a virgin and marry a wife so that he can do things right, he is not sinning against God. He is carrying himself a burden which is going to be problematic. But if he is convinced that he can handle that burden, the church cannot label that man a sinner. Otherwise, what we will be doing is similar to saying there are 2 people. One stole a child, raised that child, and that child is living successfully and peacefully and happily. He's sending this child to the best school. But this child was stolen from a hospital. And this woman says, now that I have heard the word, I want to confess. I know the proper parents of this child. They are suffering in poverty. They are poor. They won't afford to send this child to school. Can you use that as a reason to stop this woman from sending this child back to her proper parents? I can't send him. I love him so much. And he calls me mama. Are you the proper mother of this child? I am not.
Yes.
You stole this child. Send this child back to her proper parents. Let us talk about the education of this child later. Whatever you have offered this child cannot justify the theft. Tosera mwana kuvabereki wake. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Tosera mwana kupi? Kuvabereki wake, because makaba mwana mchipatara. Ari kudzidza kuchikoro chinodhura, anoenda kuholiday kuBahamas, it doesn't matter. Mwana asi wenyu. Izvezvi nyaya ikabuda, munofanirwa kutopika jeri nezvamakaita. Kana tirisu tiri kutonga nyaya tikatenderwa nenyika, tinoti aiwa, ngavachirega zvavo kupika jeri, nekuti havana kubatwa nemapurisa, vabatwa neshoko raMwari. Regai vabereki vemwana uyu vapiwe mwana wavo. Kana ivo vabereki vemwana uyu vadecide kuti mwana uyu anowana better education kune ava vakamurera, votaurirana, but mwana ambodzokera kupi? Kuvabereki vake. Saka muchiona kuti Ishmael, as much as Abraham was desperate for a child, he had to let Ishmael go. The desire to have a child cannot outmaneuver and outweigh the need to do things right by God. No, it can't. Those motions are not because murume wako achakutaura kuti iwe wakanyepera kuti uri mhandara, ukazoreurura kuti wakanga wanyepera. Kana wakanyepa kumurume kuti wanga uri mhandara, zvikazobatwa, murume iyeyu haana chinomumanikidza kugara newe. Hausi mukadzi wake. Ane simba mushoko raMwari murume rekuti chidzokera. Zvevana tinozotaura later. Ndichaona kuti vana vangu ndochengeta sei. But ndaroda tsvaga mukadzi chaiye chaiye. As much as we preach forgiveness, but the onus is not on the preacher to force this man to forgive and accept the status quo, which deprives him of something that God gave to him as an instruction to obey, to mirror the life of Christ and the church. It's painful, it's difficult, but it is the truth. If we have a man in this church who has got a family, but his wife deceived him that she was a virgin, but she was not, that man is not bound by the law of God to stay in that marriage. Because that marriage is not a legitimate marriage. It's a discretionary marriage. It's by choice. And if this man decides to stay in this marriage, he is just doing it because he loves his family. He loves you enough to do that. But you are not entitled. If this man leaves you, God does not hate such a divorce. Because it's a divorce of a non-existing marriage.
Yes.
If I go and steal a bicycle from a shop and I park it in my house and somebody steals it from me, I can't open a docket. Officer ndayo uzomangara. Ndabirwa bhasikoro rangu. Ko receipt yacho iri kupa handina kutenga. Hana ndakatoribo ndakariba last week. Hanangori chovha for a week chete. Haivhurirwe docket nyaya iyoyo. Nokuzvibata zvandikutaura.
Yes.
Don't confuse yourself. Mwari akavenga divorce. Aisi divorce. Marriage haifanirwe kunge ichiitika. Chero paanenge angofunga kuti haachada marriage, hatigoni kumukansela murume tichimudzokera kumukadzi wake. Tiri kutotadzira Mwari. Because tiri kuda kuti marriage iyi kai igozobereka vana kumberi uko vanonzi godly seed. Zvino tikabereka vana vanonzi neDeuteronomy, pastors shall not come into the congregation of the Lord up to the 10th generation. What are we doing? We must see generations of godly children in the house. Vachizvarwa. Mariprobates nemabastards achizvarwawo kunyika. Muchechi mozvarwawo chi? Mozvarwa vana chaivo. Remember Leviticus 21:15 and Deuteronomy 23:2. A bastard shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord.
Yes.
Even to his 10th generation shall he not enter into the congregation of the Lord. So a bastard child is not a mischievous child. He don't need to do anything to be a bastard.
Yes.
You simply need to be born outside a proper marriage. That was the normal thing. You get it? Mukadzi akamitiswa ari kumba kwavo, murume amumitisa akazomuroora, mwana iyeye haasi bastard. Because Mwari haaconsider marriage musi waunopiwa mukadzi. Mwari anoconsider marriage kuti yakagara yakarongwa naMwari kubva nyika isati yavambwa. Ndosaka pataverenga pa Deuteronomy paya panga pachiti munhu anenge avata nemhandara yakadanana nemumwe murume, asi obva azonzi ngaafe nekuti aita hambo a neighbor's wife. Asati aroorwa, but ari kunzi neighbor's wife. It is because God doesn't consider marriage the day it happens. That's why Joseph was instructed to take his wife to himself when he discovered Mary was pregnant. But Mary was not yet Joseph's wife. But God said, she is your wife. It is not about when it is consummated. It is about the plan ordained in God. That's why we read Malachi 2, which said marriage, God is a witness in a proper marriage. Musi waakaiwitnessira uyo ndononzi naMwari ndo musi wandakaironga marriage ngaiitwe mukadzi wako. So we want to raise proper children in our families, legitimate children. We want every man to have a firstborn son in his family. If we use this criteria I have showed you today and start to do sampling door by door, you will find out more than half of our marriages right now do not have a proper firstborn son. That is a sign that the world has become extremely wicked.
Yes.
When we preach this word, we are trying to revive holiness in the world.
Yes.
But holiness begins with the church.
Yes.
Holiness begins in the church. We are going to inspire other families who don't believe to live right because they see how we live.
Yes.
Proper marriages, proper families, proper children, legitimate children, godly seed in your marriage. If your wife was divorced by another man because she cheated, you don't have a wife. You are living in a filthy marriage. If you are a believer, You are allowed to walk out of that marriage. We are not going to ask you to do that. Because you are going to obey God on your own terms. That's how you prove to God, not to us, that you obey Him. We can only teach you the word. You can decide to stay in that filthy marriage until you die. It's your choice. It depends on how God speaks to you and how you are willing to please God yourself. Are you zealous? Do you have vehement desire to please God? That's the question. If that woman calls Pastor Rengo and says, this man wants to leave, Pastor, you can't start by saying, God hates divorce. Which God are you talking about? Which divorce are you talking about? This is not a marriage in the eyes of God.
Yes.
If it is not a marriage, then it is not a divorce. As simple as that.
Yes.
There's no divorce to talk about. What about those who are dating women who are no longer damsels? I've already addressed that.